Hi everybody, David Harper here. Here is just a few clips from one of my recent antique valuation events. It's a tea party with 1940s singing and dancing and all sorts of shenanigans. It's a really lovely day out. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot.
You'll be pleased to hear I'm not going to be doing any singing. I've been kicked out here in a nanosecond. Well, you were fantastic, by the way. When I pulled up outside, I thought I was at the wrong place, thought this was like a disco or something. I got all a bit excited. And then walking in to this environment, I must say, it just put a big smile on my face. And it just looked fantastic, so traditional, very much like Midsummer Murders, don't you think? Which I've got to say is a bit of a worry, because looking around I can see some dodgy looking characters I can find here. So this is a general talk about antiques, about TV. You can ask questions. I love it when it's unprepared. You can ask questions. What do you want to know about Tim Wallace? Hey, I know. Is he having an affair with Anita Manning? You just ask me. I am here to spread rumours, I promise you. I think some of you actually have bought some antiques, have you? Not your husband's, madam, no. You bought some stuff. Okay, I'd like to see them live as it happens. I have no idea what I'm going to see. Who has bought some antiques? Come on, oh, let's have a look at this teddy bear. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't he lovely? He's not scruffy, he's absolutely gorgeous. Tell me about him.
Well, it was my father's mother.
Your father's mother. Now you are, because I'm very good at aging. Say 28? Yeah. I'm just trying to work out how old it is. Listen, if you want any top tips on getting off with women, just you come and speak to me, right?
I didn't know it was like an early spike because it didn't use to have
Early Stipe. So you know No. But you know about Stipe. I'm sure you all watch BBC antique shows. Come on. If you don't, you really need to get a life. I mean, seriously. You've heard about the Stipe bears, the German bears with the little earrings in. And they started manufacturing in the early part of the 20th century. And in the early days, you are right, they didn't have the earrings in. But what you need to do is know how to date a teddy bear. And I'm going to give you some top tips on how to date a teddy bear. I'm going to use this one as a perfect example. So, an early teddy, which cannot be any earlier than the early part of the 20th century, about 1905, because that's when they were introduced, will always have long limbs, long legs, long arms, and movable, which he has. They'll always have a long snout. Crucially, they'll have a big bulge on their back, which he has. He's got a big lump, and the telltale is a crunchy tummy. So you squeeze it. Let's see if I can pick the sound here. Can you hear that? Horse hair, or even straw in some cases. And if you were to take a very close look at his tummy, and if you've got a teddy bear at home, look at the tummy. Because what you're looking for is evidence of hand stitching. Because the early teddy bears were machine-made, machine-sewn, apart from the tummy area, which was the last piece to be sewn up, and it's where the teddy was stuffed with the horsehair and other bits, and then it was hand-stitched. So a lot of these early teddies look like they've had a repair on their tummies, when in actual fact that's a sign of being very early. So he's early, he's got lovely eyes, don't know whether they're being replaced or not, but he's in gorgeous condition. If you can do a little bit of research and attribute him to Stipe, let's say, best case scenario, he's an early Stipe. If he is an early Stipe, what's he worth? Sold, madam, £1,000. Give her a round of applause. Congratulations. You did know it was an auction, didn't you? Yeah. We're raising money here for a good cause. Hey, I don't do bargain hunt anymore. I've resigned. Yeah, anyway, that's another story. I'm doing the Antiques Road trip. I'm currently filming. Next week I'm going back again to the south coast. You do watch that. Good. I'm with Catherine Southern. So we're driving around in a little Citroen 2CV along the south coast, which is brilliant. But I think if you said yes to paying £1,000, if this was indeed an early spike, you said no. You've missed out big time. You were going to live in regret for the rest of your life. It is worth more than that. It's worth
Thousands.
Oh, now you're changing your mind. Now you know the facts. That's typical, isn't it? Honestly. If he's a real early spike, which I'm not sure, needs lots of research, a few £1,000s. But even if he isn't, and he dates to about 1920, 1930, it's not going to be much later than that. He's worth several hundreds, so £300 or £400. Give the Teddy a round of applause. It's really lovely. It's really lovely. You'd never sell it though, would you? But if it was worth 10,000, would you sell it? You might, then might you, exactly. Let's get another antique out. What have we got? Thank you. Come on, madam. What have we got? We've got a Toby jug down there. We've got a box. What have we got, madam? A box. What kind of box is it? Who owns the box? Where do you think it's from, sir?
Well, my grandfather used to work in the shipyards, and every now and again he used to go out on a test, and he bought that somewhere and brought it back. And
Somewhere abroad.
I assume so. It's just that the woodwork looks as if it's.
Yeah. Did he ever get to the Far East, Japan, China?
He died. He got killed in the shipyards over 100 years ago.
Right. Did he get out? Well, how far away did he get? I mean, Newcastle. Did he get to Newcastle?
I've been to Newcastle.
Far East, right, that's where it comes from. It's absolutely Chinese. And the reason I smelt it, because it smells of camphor wood. It has a camphor wood interior, in fact, it's probably all camphor wood. And camphor wood is really good for staving off moths, insects, and that kind of thing. So a lot of oriental boxes are made from camphor, so you could put lovely silk gloves in there and the moths wouldn't attack it because moths don't like camphor wood. Hand-carved oriental Chinese circa, well, I'm going to say 1920s, but yes, certainly Chinese, it's about 100 years old. But the Chinese market is absolutely on fire. You must have heard this. At the Chinese market, I'm going to give you an example of how good it is doing. And also, because I'm not here to be modest, right? I'm not. You said you're going to be modest, didn't you? And I said, I'm not going to be modest, and you said, that's fine. Because luckily for you, sir, I am an expert in Chinese objects. One of my areas. This is how good I am. I got a call of a client from Bedfordshire several years ago, and he said to me, I've got several things to sell, could you help me out? I said, yes, I can. Chinese vases, beautiful things, 19th century, Canton, £3,000 to £5,000, probably to auction. Other things as well, including a Chinese screen, but this tall, heavily carved, not that good, not sophisticated. Now the Chinese buyers in the mainland China and Hong Kong, with the money, they want to buy objects made in China for the home market themselves, not the Western market. Their style is very different, and in truth it's better. It's much more refined and sophisticated and plain, in actual fact. And I know Chinese buyers, and they're not millionaires, they're billionaires. They've got lots of money to buy back their culture. And in fact, one Chinese buyer said to me, David, I want to buy back our culture. The things that Britain took from us, bought from us, whatever, in the 19th century, I want to buy it back. And he said, once I've finished, or we have finished buying back our culture, we want yours. That's what he said to me. And I thought, I don't care because I'm on 20%. I'll tell him whatever he wants. So anyway, I digress. So I put these things into auction. Bear in mind I'm an expert. I'm known on TV as an expert in Chinese things. I put the Chinese vases into auction, 3,000 to 5,000, made £5,000. I'm on 20%. Who's good at maths? You look intelligent, madam, or is it just a joke? I mean, 20% of 5,000? 14,000, that's right. Yeah, exactly, yeah. 1,000. That's my earnings, right? So it's my costs and everything else. But anyway, that's
Do you need an assistant?
Yeah, they get 0.001%. Yeah. I put the screen into the same auction, but I said to him, it's a bit of a rubbish screen, if I'm honest. It was made for the British in Hong Kong, circa 1890, and my Chinese buyers don't want it. It's not good enough. It's too flash, it's too gary. I put it in with an auction estimate of its worth £300 to £500. Up comes this monstrosity of a Chinese screen. I'm an expert in Chinese objects. £300 to £500. The bidding started at 300. I thought, thank goodness for that, it's not coming back, because it was reserved at 300. Got to 500, was about to be sold, I ignored it. Suddenly we got a bid from Hong Kong, 1,000. Very good, how interesting is that? 2,000, Shanghai. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, £10,000. I'm flat out on the floor, I've just collapsed. I wake up at £20,000. I am an expert at valuing Chinese objects. 22, 24, 26, 30, the hammer comes down at £32,000. Now this is a dilemma for me. On the one hand, I'm quite pleased because I'm on 20%. On the other, how do I sort of explain this to my client, being an expert in Chinese objects, that I got it completely fundamentally wrong? However, I did explain it. He was very understanding, as you can imagine, and he took his wife on a world cruise. I ran the auction and I said, what did I miss there? Teach me something. And the auctioneer said, David, you missed nothing. He said, your buyer in Hong Kong that I've been in touch with about the vases was bidding on the screen. My buyer in Shanghai was bidding on the screen. I know these two know one another and they don't like one another. And they faced off online. They're billionaires. £32,000 for them, madam, is like you buying a Mars bar. But who cares? I'm on 20%. Thank you very much. Oh. Hold on to your seat, sir. Chinese objects. Now, I said earlier on that the Chinese buyers who we adore only want to buy pieces made for the Chinese market, not for the Western market. The question is, was this piece made for the West or for the East? The West? West. See, these people don't want it to be made in the East because they don't want you to make loads of money out of this game. God, no, I think it's a Western piece. The East. Has he got plenty of money? Okay. Well, why don't we tell him it was made for the West and then we'll all take a percentage when I plug it into auction and sell it to one of my Chinese fellows? No, it was positively made for the Western market, for the British eye, because it conjures up what we might have thought the Orient looked like. Because if your ancestor went to the Orient, it would have been a real rarity, because not very many people got the opportunity to travel that far. And you've got these characters on the front depicting Chinese life as we might have liked to have seen it. Going to China in those days was like going to the moon today. It's very rare. And so it was made for the Western eye. And it's probably worth, what do we think? Take a guess. 30 to 50. He watches a lot of antiques road trip. £30 to £50 £50, one of the favourite auctioneers' estimate. That's what it's worth, but you get a round of applause. Thank you very much.